Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just stripping down a final drive off a bike that came in for service. Was checking the rear wheel for drive shaft noise, universal noise, gearbox roughness, etc. And to my amazement, I found that there was an amazing amount of sort of lateral play in the rear wheel when I shook it. So here we are putting some new bearings in there. It's usually this bearing here that goes bad. It's under a tremendous amount of pressure. You can see the size of it. And this bearing here is on the other side. I call that the outrigger bearing. There would be another bearing, another name for it, but you can see why I call it the outrigger bearing. It's there to actually support the whole assembly in the final drive housing. It's a tapered roller bearing, and it fits into that cone there. That bearing is also a little bit sad, so it's come loose and it's sort of worn itself out. That's not the main reason for the post. I've done one on these before, but I just thought I'd show you a couple of quick things. It has been an absolute mission to get this internal face of the final drive off this bike. It was glued in with some sort of crap, which is still there on the other final drive, that I've still got to try and clean out of there. You're looking at the pinion here. It's quite fine. The bearings feel good. It's only the two side load bearings that have taken the brunt of it, but it's been apart before, this thing. And this is the brake tube. This is where the brake rod comes through, or the brake cam rod comes through from the lever on the back wheel. So when you put your foot in the brakes, this rod rotates in here and operates a cam and presses the rear brake shoes out onto the drum inside the back wheel. Now that is just heat fitted in there. I usually put a little bit of Loctite 515 on there towards the end, so that when you push it through, it does help it seal. However, to get that back plate off, you do have to heat it, and you heat the plate and work it gently, and it will come off, and leave it in place. I've seen these things with big kinks in them from people breaking in them, bending them and doing all sorts of stupid things with them. But the big mission of this video is to beg you once again, please do not bloody glue things together on these bikes. They do not need it. What has happened is somebody has come in here, some muppet has got in there with something like a screwdriver or an end of a drift or a chisel or something, and tried to wedge this up, because this is sitting on top like this, to get it off that brake tube. Now they've also, not only have they managed to put a ding in the sealing surface, but if you look carefully you can see that they've actually bulged the bit where the bearing sits. And I'm not sure if that would be good enough to do it, but it's possible that that could have some reason that the big bearing has failed. I'm going to try and dress that back a little bit, before I put it back together. I'm still sort of considering how to go about that, and I've just spent so much time getting that out of there, getting it to move. I was waiting for something to go pop. I've heated it, I've done everything else, and that's what you have to do to get this clearance here, is heat that. Then you just get two pieces of wood, put that on there like that, with the crown wheel hanging out the bottom, heat this gently, and the bearing will release from this housing and the whole assembly will fall apart. There's a shim inside and there's a seal. This seal was also glued in. I've cleaned it up, but if you look there you can see a whole bunch of ridges that act like little O-rings. They're best put in with no goop at all. Two perfectly clean surfaces, a little bit of some kind of evaporative lubricant that will let it go in and then go away, and that will never ever leak so long as the housing is in good order. But whoever has had this housing apart before has glued every bloody thing to everything. I've just spent half an hour with a whetstone going around and preparing these surfaces, and you can still see some of the glue sitting in here, and that there is a real worry. If ever you are going to push apart any kind of aluminium flange or housing on one of these bikes, do not, repeat, not use a screwdriver. You will ding the sealing surface and it will be a nightmare to stop it from leaking. They are precision machined, as you can see. There is no need to use a screwdriver. If you have to use a pry, I've had this for years. It's an old tie lever, sort of like probably, I don't know, a bike tie lever, or it could have been a small car, old thing. I don't even know where it came from. But what I've done is I've linished these outside levers off it and then just given it a light polish on the cloth mop, rounded all the surfaces off. So if you do need to prise it for any reason, you can get the skinny edge in there, give it a couple of gentle taps with a hammer because it's slightly tapered, and it will just slightly, very slightly, and you can work your way around and you will not hurt the sealing surface. How silly is that? It's a simple thing to do. If you have to separate aluminium flanges on your bike, whether it be a gearbox back housing or a final drive or anything like that, use something broad and flat with no ridges on it, a taper, and prise very, very gently. Heat is your friend. Heat is your friend. If you want to do a lot of work on your bike, go and buy yourself one of these. I've got a great big heavy duty propane gas thing, and I've got access to an oxyacetylene setup, but this thing here is about 85 or 90 bucks from Trade Tools, and it's a MAP gas burner. It gets everything hot enough, quick enough to get everything apart. That's enough ranting. I'm going to go and spend tomorrow now cleaning this out, and that's the problem. How do you explain to a customer that you've had to spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours prepping something before you do a relatively simple job like resetting one of these up? It's beyond me. Sorry for the rant, but I tell you, I am going to ban sticky stuff when I get to be the emperor of the world. Ride safely, stay well until we meet again.